Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of Community Rewind. I'm your host, Alex Mead, and once again this week we have a ton of stuff to get to, so let's go ahead and dive right in with our first guest, a special assistant to our president, Dr. Ted Taylor.
My journey at Campbellsville University has been now 27 years, and it's been an incredible journey of faith. When I first got to Campbellsville, there wasn't much there. But the longer that I stayed there, I found that Campbellsville's great strength is in its people. And the buildings and the facilities have come along, but the great resiliency of the Campbellsville University people has been shown to me over and over these 27 years. And one of the things that I've seen particularly is that every time there's been a difficult time, in my time here, and then if you read the history, even through our history since 1906, then we have always fought through, we've always kept our mission in mind, and we've come out stronger than we were before the difficulty hit. I like to say it this way about Campbellsville is we know a lot about setbacks, but we know more about comebacks. And when we come back, we're always stronger than we were. And when I think about Campbellsville University, it's really a concept, see you strong. It's our strength to prevail through challenging times and to find a way to be successful. One of the interesting things I found recently, as the COVID-19 challenge has been before all our country and our world, is our donor base. I thought maybe initially our donor base might be thinking about less or might be wavering a little bit. But one of the great interesting things about our donor base is they believe so strongly in our mission, our Christian higher ed mission, that they've actually increased their gifts rather than decreasing their gifts, because they believe Campbellsville University is making such a difference in the lives of transforming young people and traditional learners as well, non-traditional learners, that they want to invest in that kind of kingdom work. One donor told me last week, he said, we need Campbellsville University stronger now more than ever. Our expansion across the Commonwealth and then in other places across the country and even around the world. Because Campbellsville, at our heart, we believe we're a Great Commission University. President Carter uses those terms, that we are a going institution that goes places where there's opportunities that we feel like Campbellsville has to transform lives. And because of that, now we have a great diversity in our school. And, as some things go maybe down a bit, other things go up. And it provides a balance in our mission. But beyond the growth, the incredible growth of Campbellsville over these 27 years, from when I came to school in the hundreds to now over 12,000, has been, the drive has always been, it's another opportunity to bring life change to people. And the more lives that we can encounter through technical training, through different locations, then the more we're living out our mission of trying to bring life change to people. So as we think about where we are, I think it's our great diversity. I think it's our willingness to go where God leads us and God's favor. And as we're at the Conover Center now, it's just a great example that the Conover Center came into existence because of a Great Commission ministry called Church Outreach at Campbellsville. And so you never know how God's going to use things for His good and His glory, but we've seen His hand. And one thing certainly that we feel at Campbellsville is God's favor. We talk about Campbellsville University and our mission, and one of the things that has emerged is a vision statement by our trustees. It's called Vision 2025, and it laid out for us to be a Great Commission University, to go into places never before. And there were three words that really kind of were used in the document that really helped define Campbellsville University for me and in a sense of branding. And the three areas were cross-centered. Campbellsville University was to be a cross-centered university, church-connected, and about changing lives. And one of the things that we've seen, particularly here, I've spent most of my time on main campus in Conover, is every day at Campbellsville you see life change happen. You see people that are drawn to Campbellsville. We feel like it's God's hand that leads them there. And then we see their family tree changed. We see their lives transformed. We see, as Jeremiah 29:11 says, the hope in the future that God has planned for them, it becomes to bloom and to blossom. And for all of us that work at Campbellsville, that is the motivation that keeps us going, because we want that for every student, every day, that they might become all that God has created them to be. So we put them in we see them in an environment of Christian love and caring and concern. True concern for them is really, in the final analysis, we're all just real people with real problems that need real love. And Campbellsville provides that. But not only are they accepted for who they are, but also they're trained and equipped that they might have the skills and the education to have an incredible future. And so it's just what a blessing to be in a place that blesses others in that way. But life change is not just something on a piece of paper. It's something that happens at Campbellsville University in all of our locations every day in every way in our students' lives.
If you love them enough to relearn math so you can teach them math, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
American Red Cross urgently needs blood and platelet donations and asks healthy donors to schedule an appointment to give during this coronavirus outbreak. Patients are counting on life-saving transfusions. Visit redcrossblood.org.
Staring contest! You still got it. I know.
Come alive with the forest. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. This cat makes me make art. He's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
Wash your hands, stay home, cover your cough. It's our new reality with COVID-19. Physicians and public health professionals are trying to protect us because our healthcare system would be overwhelmed if too many people get seriously ill. We have to take their advice seriously. So, prepare, focus on the essentials. Protect, keep some space from people outside your home. And disinfect, a lot. Get the facts at kycovid19.ky.gov. Prepare, protect, disinfect.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes and you come to mine. This is it, first impression, my way in. But can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined like me.
Welcome back to Community Rewind. Up next for us on this week's episode is the Assistant Director to the Louisville Education Center, Dr. Chris Confer.
So when we first found out about it in the spring, like all the other centers and campuses and stuff, we kind of raced around trying to figure out what it is that we're going to do. And I think our response has been in a range from some folks just went and put everything up online to some folks said, oh, this is a golden opportunity. I'm going to do all kinds of creative stuff and that kind of thing. As the spring progressed, it looked like that the summer was going to be much of the same. As the summer progressed, we began to lean toward the idea that we need to be ready for the fall. So about midsummer, we began planning, and I began sending communications out saying, think in terms of that there may need to be an online or a video conference component to what you're doing. We didn't at that time know yet what the final plan would be, but we knew we started to start planning for it. So we began researching and trying to find out what are some creative things that you can do online or video conference that can keep the students engaged. So I feel like here's the fall, we're better prepared no matter what happens. We're better prepared to say, if we're going to do something face-to-face, I know how I do that. If we're going to do something that was kind of a hybrid, a blend of online information and video conferencing, I've got some plans ready for that. Well, we're weighing out a lot of different variables. And I think those who are not behind the scenes may guess as to what those variables are, but the reality of it is that we're going to have classes that may have 5 or 6 students in it and classes that may have 100, 150 students in it. And we've got to figure out a policy that is consistent, that is safe for the student and the staff and the facilities, and that is something that's easy to remember and understand. It could be that we figure out a system that allows all of our students to go to all the classes face-to-face, but it has so many exceptions to it, no one can ever remember what it is. On Monday, we have face-to-face class, but Tuesday we have online class, and on Thursday we have half online, half. No. It needs to be something that at any given moment a student can understand that. The reality of it is that we've got, I don't know, I just looked at the numbers today, something like 5,000 students who are students at the Louisville Center. And none of them are resident students. That is to say, nobody lives in a dorm that we can just walk over to Bailey Dorm and see how many students are there. There are no dorms at the Louisville Center. So all of our students have lives, have other jobs, have families, have ministries that they do, and then come to the Louisville Center for class. Now, a percentage of them live in the greater Louisville area, Jefferson County, perhaps over across the river in Indiana, perhaps in Bullitt County, Oldham County, and they'll drive in for class. But of those 5,000 students, 4,900 of them or 4,800 of them or whatever it is, live in some other state. So that means that they are in whatever context is going on in West Virginia or California or Texas or Florida, then they're coming here for class on a weekend. We've got to have a policy that keeps them safe, keeps us safe, and is easy to remember and understand. And so the reality of it is, and then you'll hear Mark, our Vice President Director, talk about it, that we don't have a chapel that can hold 500 people. We don't have an on-site clinic where we can say, go here and they'll check your temperature and we'll know what our next options are. We don't even have 15 buildings that we can say, we'll put 30 of you in here and 30 of you over here and whatever like that. We've got the 4 buildings of which classroom space, and we could total it up on 2 hands, how many classrooms we have. And we finally came to the conclusion that said, we've just got to go to remote teaching again. Have as strong a face-to-face virtual presence as we can, but recognize that we can't put safely 30 students or 50 students or 100 students in any location and have it take place. So about 2 weeks ago, the Vice President finally had to pull the trigger. He got approval from the Executive Committee to say, at least in Louisville, we need to tell our students now that our classes are going to be remote teaching, remote learning again. I've got one teacher who will email me regularly to say, what if I promise to do everything that we're supposed to do? I wear a mask, they wear a mask, we wrap everybody in gauze, we spray them, hose them down with asbestos, we put them 20 feet apart from each other. Can I have face-to-face classes? No, I'm sorry, we have to be consistent. All of our classes are going remote. So some of them are going kicking and screaming into it, and that's fine, I understand that. But I think a lot of them have really embraced it. I've heard, I talked to one of my instructors just a week or two ago to say, I was anticipating that this might happen. I went and got a new computer. I've got some special bells and whistles and cameras and stuff that we can use for that, and I think I'm really excited about that. I met with one of my adjuncts a week or two ago, and like we're doing here, kind of recorded it. And he asked his questions, and we went to Moodle and figured out how to make a forum work on Moodle, or how to add a link on the Moodle, how do you add your attendance in the Moodle and stuff. He just asked the questions, and we would go there. I'd share the screen, and we would go do that. So I think the whole ranges from shock and horror to I'm going to embrace it, it's going to be fun, is the range of what's happening of our instructors. I've got a lot of confidence in them. We're not just pulling people out of a deck of cards to say, I hope I draw a high card here. These are folks who have been teaching in other systems for a while. They've taught other schools for a while. They've taught with us for a while, somewhere in that mix there. And I think they're going to do a great job. I know that I've used the opportunity to say, hey, if we're going to be virtual broadcasting our class, I'm not bound by the location of guest speakers. I'm also not bound by having to pay them a huge sum of money. I can just contact them and say, hey, do you got 15 minutes on this particular evening? You wrote the commentary on this topic. Let me ask you questions about that and let my students benefit from it. So it's also opened up this sort of almost global perspective of presenters that you can have in class. I think that we are raised in our culture to not show any weakness and to not ask for help, and that to ask for help means somehow that you're less of the person that you should be. So the first step that I would say, the first thing that I would say would be to say, take the risk to tell somebody, I'm afraid of the technology, or I don't think I access my computer correctly, or I don't know where Moodle is. When you keep mentioning Moodle, what's Moodle? Take the step to ask somebody for help. The second is that it's kind of like swimming or riding a bike. The more you do it, the more adept you become at it. So the first couple of times, even cooking could be that way. The first few times you do it, you think, well, that was awful. I'm never doing that again. But you got to stay with it. Try it again. Ask for suggestions. Get a little feedback. Try again, and you'll find better and better that you can do that. The instructors are also learning how to use the technology to help you. So reach out. Don't wait 3 weeks to say, I didn't really understand what was going on. I never accessed any of the information you posted online. I would immediately either contact the instructor, contact my advisor, contact the enrollment person, contact a peer in the class with you to say, hey, they kept mentioning, ZOABs. How am I supposed to find out what a ZOAB is? Find out. Go ahead, take the risk, ask somebody the question there. We can't read your minds. I wish we could. I guess that technology is still a semester or so away. Just kidding. So we need you to tell us that this is what you need. We're trying to think of all the options, but we may have missed the one that was specifically the thing that would have helped you the most.
Today I'm going to talk to you about physics. Come on in, girls. Let's go. This is the first rocket to get humans to Mars.
Really tall.
I'm a rocket structural engineer, designing and building parts of the rocket. You are the generation that will be stepping foot on Mars. Do I have a group of astronauts on my hands?
Yes.
You can become a rocket scientist or whatever else you want to be.
If you love them enough to crawl into a play place to get them to come down, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
It appears these hot ashes are about to be dumped, which could possibly start a wildfire. How will Smokey deal with such a hot situation? The garden hose defense. Next, a thorough stir. Then another spray. And finally, feeling if the ashes are cool.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, yes, the selfie. A ritual practiced so frequently with this tribe, but not so much by Smokey Bear.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
And one last person for us on this week's edition of Community Rewind as we take a look to the student side of things as the students are starting to come back on campus with the Student Activities Director, Trent Creason.
My name is Trent Creason, Director of Student Activities. That means I oversee programs and events, intramurals, a student activity center. And normally we have a whole lot going on. We usually average about 300 activities a semester. And so really our goal ultimately is whether you're an online student or on main campus or at a regional site, we want you to connect and engage and grow in meaningful ways. And so we find a lot of different ways to do that, whether that be through a campus club or organization, taking a campus trip, or doing some kind of big event on campus. There are a lot of ways that happens. And so that's our major goal. And we love to make that happen and pour into students however we are able to. Coming back to Campbellsville was just kind of, I'm not going to say an accident, but the intention wasn't necessarily to work here. My wife and I got married, and it was actually cheaper to move back to Campbellsville. We were living in Louisville, and some different things just kind of fell into place. I worked with Ed Pavey in campus ministry for a while. And then the student activities job came open, and it seemed like a really good fit, a really cool opportunity, not only to do some things that are fun and enjoyable, but really the mix of planning and working with people really kind of fits me well. And so when the job came open, just went for it, and I've been here since. A lot of opportunities to invest in students. My wife was a resident director for many years, and our goal really was just to place ourselves and position ourselves to be missional for college students and really invest in their lives. And living on campus and being in the position as a student activities director was a really great way to do that. And so, definitely never had a huge plan of being a student activities director, but that's where God led, and it's definitely been a blessing. It's going to look different, but we are still going to have staples. We're still going to have intramurals, but those intramurals will look more individual basis, like individual tennis, where you're bringing your own equipment, disc golf, things of that nature. We can do things like 4-on-4 volleyball, but some of the team sports like flag football, some of those where you're a little more close contact, those won't be occurring at this point unless something changes. And so, we've amended rules in our intramurals, and we've also changed kind of that lineup, but those are still going to be provided. Welcome Week will still take place, but you're going to see a different nature of programs. Some of the big group things that we normally have, like our Welcome Week Festival or free movie night, some of these things will not be present, but most of them we will be present in a different way. So the Welcome Week Festival is going to be virtual oriented, so that students can still connect with churches and businesses and clubs. And then you're going to see some new additions. We're creating a new virtual program platform, which is really going to just be another entity of the activities department, where we're, again, pandemic or no pandemic, we're going to be providing virtual programming that can be accessed to the app or the website. And so you're going to see some things like a cell phone smackdown, which is really a trivia-based thing, but students can actually win money by playing this. And so you're going to see these things happen. Of course, our semester is a little shorter, a little brief in nature. And so when we get to the end of the semester, things like Stress Busters will be adapted virtually. But there's still the plan to be and to provide programs and activities, again, that are helping our students connect and engage and grow. That's our purpose. But we know at the end of the day, we have to be ready to pivot and be flexible. And I know that students are flow with that really well. Our student body has been amazing, just adapting and taking care of things. And so we're just excited to be around them and be with them and to provide the service for them. But they can expect to see many of the same things. Of course, they'll be adjusted, but there are also going to be some new opportunities that maybe they haven't seen before. I'm hoping, and we're really trying, this is an initiative even before the pandemic, and we're really capitalizing on it even more, and that's to provide more campus club opportunities. Student activities will help sponsor and provide programming for different clubs, and that's really going to help because in a lot of ways we may have to meet in small groups, and these small groups can also meet specific needs that our department can't always do in a big way. And so they can be looking for good ways. I would really encourage them to plug into a campus club or organization. If you're a part of that, really be checking and seeing what they're offering this year. But we're excited and we're ready, even though the readiness may be more around adjusting than it is necessarily saying, hey, this is our plan of action. But again, students just need to be checking our social media, our apps. That's the best way to know what's going on. And I mentioned some virtual programs. We're also going to be doing some video series that I encourage you to check out. One of them is called In His Image. It's going to be premiering in September. And, we've obviously seen a lot of the brokenness in our world. And that's really nothing new. The world's been broken. And we've seen it and we've all experienced it in different ways. But what this series is going to do is really listen to some leaders from our campus and our community about how not only, hey, things are messed up, but what do we do with it? And how do we engage with this in a way that starts with the foundation that we're created in God's image? And so I'm excited about that one. There's another one coming up called Tuesday Talk, where we're going to have one of our student leaders lead us and some things that are really campus focused, issues that students are specifically dealing with, like what's it like to be a full-time athlete and a full-time employee at the same time. And so I believe Parrish Howe is going to be helping us with that one. And so there's some cool things that are coming out of this that I definitely want students to be paying attention to. I know that when you look at your phone, it's really like precious real estate. You choose what app you're going to have on there and what you're going to be following. But definitely, especially if you're a freshman, I want you and encourage you to take initiative to download the app, be engaged with our social media, know what's going on, because it really will pay off with your experience at Campbellsville. And so those are a couple of cool things that are coming up as well.
If you love them enough to relearn math so you can teach them math, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
American Red Cross urgently needs blood and platelet donations and asks healthy donors to schedule an appointment to give during this coronavirus outbreak. Patients are counting on life-saving transfusions. Visit redcrossblood.org.
Staring contest! You still got it. I know.
Come alive with the forest. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. This cat makes me make art. He's my best friend, but a lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
Alright guys, that's going to wrap things up for this week's edition of Community Rewind. So remember, if you missed anything at all, you can always head on over to WLCUTV.com, scroll down till you see the Community Rewind icon, click right there, and you can find all the episodes free of charge. And that might be what I'm actually going to go do to try to hurry up and get out of this rain before it gets started raining on me. Y'all have a great week, and I'll see you all next Friday for more Community Rewind.
What's up, guys? I'm Don Smith, and this is What's Cooking Neighbor. So join me every Friday right here on WLCU, where I'll take your taste buds on a culinary journey.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. How could you not love him?
Life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire, but you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
People think I'm trash, but they're wrong. Today, I'm just an aluminum can, but one day, I could be a stadium.
The American Red Cross urgently needs blood and platelet donations and asks all healthy donors to schedule an appointment to give now. With the coronavirus outbreak, it is important to maintain a sufficient blood supply. Your blood donation is critical and can help save lives. Please schedule an appointment today. Download the Blood Donor app Visit redcrossblood.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS today. You can make a difference.